translated in editor, Dark Gem. Within Chinmu's Taoti sack were ever an assortment of spirit herbs prepared against misfortune, so that should he suffer injury, he could heal himself at once. Naturally, as a divine physician of his era, he also carried certain poisonous herbs upon his person. Even lacking such poisons, with spirit herbs alone he could still concoct venom. The white bats stood upright like men. Chinmu stepped forward to examine their wounds and knit his brows faintly. The injuries upon their flesh were not grave. It was their souls that had endured grievous harm beneath the Shaman King's assaults. The great shamans of Roland's Golden Palace cultivated by refining the souls of living beings, humans included. Though their spells and divine arts were vast and manifold, their attainments in soul divine arts stood supreme. Their battle techniques were still slightly inferior in comparison. When Pan Gong So had crossed hands with Chinmu, he had not unleashed the soul divine arts in which he excelled. Instead, he had employed Dao sword and techniques from Little Jade Capital and other sacred grounds to contend with Chinmu. Thus he lost the advantage and suffered a crushing defeat at Chinmu's hands. Had he used soul divine arts, victory would have been uncertain. Chinmu himself did not know whether his heavenly devil creation technique could withstand the opponent's soul divine arts. The soul divine arts of Roland's Golden Palace were known as shaman spell divine arts, cultivated to their ultimate peak. That was why the prairie revered that place as its sacred ground. The two white bats had been struck time and again by the Shaman King's spells, and the weakest among their foes possessed celestial being realm cultivation. For the two bats to remain alive after enduring several such strikes showed that descendants of gods were truly extraordinary. So formidable. I must administer a heavy dose, Chinmu muttered softly. The two white bats immediately grew alert. What did you say? I said your injuries are severe, so I must apply a heavy dose. How should I address the two Dao friends? To contend with Pan Gong So and the shaman spells of Roland's Golden Palace, Chinmu had long studied medicine while nourishing his own soul. In apothecaries' teachings there was scant mention of shaman poisons that targeted the soul, and what was recorded lacked detail. Though Apothecary was the Poison King, he mostly roamed Middle-earth and seldom ventured to the prairie. Thus he understood little of shaman poison and soul injuries. Yet Chinmu had clashed with Roland's Golden Palace many times and gradually formed his own comprehension. By combining the 7 writings of creation within the great educational heavenly devil scriptures, he devised a method of treatment blending herbs and technique. I am Fuyuchu, and this is my elder brother Fuyuchun, said the white bat with the longer ear. When the two white bats saw that Chinmu required no pill furnace to refine medicine, instead using hand techniques and vital qi to extract medicinal essence from the herbs and complete the medicinal processes with his bare hands, they could not help exclaiming in astonishment. Physician Bullhead is truly extraordinary. Our eyes are dazzled. Before long, Chinmu refined the first batch of spirit pills. The short-eared Fuyuchun did not immediately consume them, but said warily, Apothecary Bull, you shall taste one first. Chinmu burst into laughter. Brother is truly cautious. My surname is not Bull. My surname is Chin, and my given name is Mu. As he spoke, he picked up a spirit pill and swallowed it. Only then did the two white bats feel reassured and consume the spirit pills. Chinmu then employed ghost creation technique and earth aeon creation technique, striking the two bats to catalyze the medicinal energy and fortify their souls. The bats felt greatly relieved, and their injuries indeed lightened. Chinmu refined another batch of spirit pills. Fuyuchun once more required him to eat one first. This white bat was even more cautious than his younger brother, Fuyuchu. Chinmu complied and swallowed a pill. Only then did the two white bats eat the remainder, further healing their injuries. At that moment, several great shamans who had pursued them arrived and attacked without greeting. The two white bats were still heavily injured, their external wounds barely treated. Chinmu extended a hand and flicked a finger. Carefree sword shot forth toward the great shamans. Seeing the shabby attack, the great shamans laughed loudly. How impoverished is Heavenly Devil Cult's cult master Chin to wield merely a 6-6 directions realm spirit sword? Excellent. It will only make it easier for us brothers to earn great merit. Before they could finish speaking, brilliant white light cascaded from Chinmu's back as 8,000 swords moved as one, bursting from the Taoti sack and surging into the heavens. The swords turned and swept toward the shamans, engulfing them in a roaring torrent. Chinmu lifted his index finger slightly, and Carefree Sword returned to its sheath. The remaining 7,999 swords soon followed back into the Taoti sack. Where the treasured swords had fallen, not a single intact corpse remained. The two white bats stared wide-eyed, unable to utter a word. When the soldiers of the Barbarian D Empire deployed their knife pellets, countless curved blades had slashed their foes in majestic spectacle. Yet this physician bullhead was himself an army of 100 men, sending thousands of swords upon his enemies. The great shamans had died unjustly beneath his assault. Since these great shamans have found us, the Shaman Kings must be near. It is unwise to linger. Chinmu's gaze flickered as he said to the two bats, "Dao friends, let us advance swiftly." The two white bats followed, exchanging glances. Fuyuchu smiled and asked, "Just now those two said you are Cult Master Chin of Heavenly Devil Cult?" Chinmu seated himself upon the Dragon Chilin's back and continued refining spirit pills without concern. "Indeed, however, we call ourselves Heavenly Saint Cult. We once met people here who named themselves Heavenly Saint Cult. The Golden Men opposing them also called them Heavenly Saint Cult. If you are Cult Master of Humans, are you not from the Mars family?" Chinmu dispersed his Mars sovereign form and restored his true appearance with a smile. "Correct, I am originally human. I merely used the god transformation of Heavenly Saint Cult to assume the form of Mars." The two white bats drooled inwardly, their thoughts linked. "When our injuries are healed, we shall eat him! We shall eat him rare!" Chinmu completed another batch of spirit pills, yet he did not offer them to the bats. Instead, he swallowed one himself and kept the rest. Fuyuchin was puzzled. "Why does Cult Master Chin not give us the spirit pills?" Chinmu smiled faintly. "This batch is for detoxifying my own poison. There is no need to give any to you." "Detoxify poison?" Fuyuchin trembled. "What poison?" "Of course the poison within the two batches of spirit pills I previously gave you," Chinmu replied naturally. The faces of the two white bats darkened at once. Just as they prepared to pounce, their souls went numb and their bodies convulsed in agony. They collapsed upon the ground, twitching without end. The Dragon Chilin snickered. Two foolish birds, daring to eat Cult Master's spirit pills. Truly reckless. The two white bats roared in unison from the ground. "Damned Fatty, you are the foolish bird." "Fatty Dragon, not all who grow wings are birds. They are not birds," Chinmu said, lifting the two bats and placing them upon the Dragon Chilin's back. "Dao friends." "Bah!" The two bats were utterly unyielding. "My poison has merely seeped into your souls. It is a new soul poison of my own creation, and you are experiencing its first flare. After 10 flares, your souls will be torn apart by unbearable pain." Chinmu beamed at them. Soul poison differs from common poison. It multiplies within the soul. Each flare increases its toxicity by 10%. I possess the antidote here, which neutralizes precisely that additional 10%. He produced 2 spirit pills, sliced a small piece from each, stuffed them into the bats' mouths, then struck them, shattering the pills into powder. He dared not carry the full antidote upon himself, fearing the bats might suddenly attempt to kill him to seize it. Only by refining the antidote just before each flare could he maintain control. The antidote suppressed the soul poison within the bats, and their agony subsided. They rose with darkened expressions. After a time, Fuyuchin said, "We concede defeat. However, we will only protect you within Ghost Valley. Once you leave it, we part ways." Agreed. Chinmu accepted without hesitation. He refined another batch of pill and tossed them to the bats, then threw them a bottle of dragon saliva to treat their external wounds. Apply the dragon saliva externally and consume the spirit pills. Your injuries will be largely healed. The two bats obeyed. Soon their injuries were nearly fully recovered. Fuyuchu's ears twitched. "Be careful. There are soul insects beneath the ground. Damned Fatty, do not step upon the earth." Flaming clouds immediately formed beneath the Dragon Chilin's feet, lifting him aloft. Chinmu looked down and saw snow-white tentacles tunneling upward, swaying gently. This strange organism was uncanny. Twisted faces would appear upon the white tentacles, mouths opening in miserable shrieks that assaulted one's soul. The two white bats screeched together. Silent sound waves bombarded the ground. Violent tremors followed, and a massive insect covered in tentacles burst halfway from the earth, its upper body exposed while the rest remained buried. It was shaken to death by their sound waves. The creature melted swiftly into water and seeped into the soil. As it dissolved, numerous tiny human figures emerged from its body, their faces scattering in all directions before dissipating into wisps of green smoke. Chin-Mu was dumbfounded. What strange life form was this? The origins of Ghost Valley are ancient indeed. From our ancestors, we heard this place connects to Yudu. The ancient gods once opened a path to another world, the world of Yudu, Fu Chun explained. This allowed certain things from Yudu to enter. The gods laboured to seal this place, and our white bat god race was commanded to guard it, preventing Yudu's life forms from breaching the world barrier. Yet in our generation, only we two brothers remain. The two white bats exchanged bitter looks, their faces wrinkling like dried mandarins. Both were male. How to propagate future generations had become their greatest dilemma. Chin-Mu was momentarily stunned, then said, "I did not expect Dao friends to be guardians of this world. Yet you are brothers, and both male. After you perish, who shall guard Ghost Valley?" "Do not mention it," the two bats said in unison. "Very well." Chin-Mu did not press further and instead asked, "Do you recall the incident 16 years ago? Did something like a meteor descend from the heavens and crash here?" "There was such an event. An unknown object pierced the seal left by our white bat god race ancestors," Fuyuchi replied. "We went to investigate, but that place was perilous. Later, some people arrived. We ate a few, yet more ventured deeper. Few returned." Chin-Mu's spirit surged with excitement. "What fell from the sky?" "A ship. Half is lodged within Yudu, and the other half embedded in the ground here."
"Translate to Ninetale, Dark Gem!"
A ship? Could it truly have come from Carefree Village? A tremor of anticipation stirred within Chin-Mu's heart. Village chief and the others had once discovered a colossal vessel beyond imagination, yet it had been shattered beyond repair, denying them passage back to Carefree Village. If this ship before him truly hailed from that distant homeland, would he not at last be able to return to the place of his birth? The two white bats guided the way with an eccentric temperament. They circled through the air without a whisper of sound, so elusive that if Chin-Mu's gaze wavered for even a breath, he would lose track of their path. In the next instant, faint rustling would arise, and the pair would be found hanging upside down from a tree branch or cliff face, only to flap their wings and glide onward in utter silence. The beings dwelling within Ghost Valley were grotesquely strange, their methods of attack equally uncanny. Yet as the appointed guardians of this realm, the two white bats were intimately familiar with every hidden corner and peril. With them leading, Chin-Mu's journey proceeded without the slightest mishap. At times, the two brothers would even seize the bizarre life forms of Ghost Valley for their own sustenance. "Heh! When fortune arrives, none may bar its way. Who would have thought we'd encounter a Bora turtle?" Chin-Mu beheld the two brothers circling above a lake before plunging straight into its depths, only to emerge dragging forth a monstrous behemoth. It was a hexagon-shaped insect, its body adorned with symmetrical hexagonal markings of peculiar regularity. At its fore were two massive pincers of terrifying strength. Upon its back clung white insect eggs, each as large as a human body. Several had already been opened, their shells split cleanly, as though someone had meticulously pried them apart from the outside. The Bora turtle possessed astonishing prowess and refused to be borne away so easily by the two brothers. Its enormous pincers shot forward, unleashing thunderous detonations. Compressed air gave birth to bolts of lightning that crackled fiercely, encircling the creature in a terrifying display. The Bora turtle then spewed forth toxic liquid that melted everything it touched. Earth and stone alike dissolved beneath its venom. Chin-Mu's heart quivered. The strength of this Bora turtle rivaled that of the dragonkilin. That venom in particular was dreadful beyond measure, capable of corroding all things. The dragonkilin's abilities were formidable, his cultivation straddling the boundary between Seven Stars realm and Celestial Being realm. Yet even one in Celestial Being realm would scarcely withstand the Bora turtle's toxicity. Even so, the two white bats proved stronger still. The sound waves bursting from Fu Yuchu's mouth struck the Bora turtle, leaving it reeling and dazed by the violent vibrations. Seizing the opportunity, the two brothers leapt onto its back and pried open two insect eggs as though opening the doors of eggshell chambers. The two white bats hopped inside and let out satisfied groans. They waved at Chinmu and the dragon Qilin. "Come in! Come in quickly!" Chinmu hesitated a moment before guiding the dragon Qilin onto the Bora turtle's back. Fu Yuchun poked his furry head out from an eggshell resembling a newborn rat twitching its ears. "Find an egg and hide in it quickly. This Bora turtle is about to awaken. He is a master of the waters, sovereign of this lake. He'll carry us from here into the river and swim toward the deep pit at the lake's heart. That's where his nest lies." Chinmu frowned slightly. "Can I not simply stand upon its back?" "This fellow is exceedingly vigilant, yet his devotion to his offspring surpasses all. If we conceal ourselves within these eggs, he will not harm us. Moreover, any creature that dares attack us will be slain by him," Fu Yuchun explained. Chinmu turned to the dragon Qilin. "Can you reduce your size?" The dragon Qilin's body was merely 6 yards shorter than the Bora turtle's. At his current size, there was no hope of fitting within an egg. The dragon Qilin snorted and shook his body, shrinking gradually. "Cultmaster underestimates me. I was instructed by Patriarch. Naturally, I can alter my size at will." He shrank until he resembled a massive dog, which was his limit. With his swollen belly, he continued attempting the technique, but nothing further changed. After a moment, he muttered, "Cultmaster, will this suffice?" Chinmu surveyed the round fellow and selected the largest egg. Lifting its cover, he hoisted the dragon Qilin and tried to stuff him inside. "It has been quite some time since I was carried," the dragon Qilin said wistfully. Chinmu forced the creature's belly inward and pressed down with strength, yet the dragon Qilin became lodged fast, unable to move in any direction. Enraged, Chinmu placed the white eggshell cover over the dragon Qilin's head. "Remain like this, and do not move." The dragon Qilin dared not budge, shell perched upon his head. In a pitiful tone he asked, "Cultmaster, you will not reduce my meals, will you? I am still growing." Chinmu opened an eggshell for himself and leapt inside. Something akin to egg white filled its interior, astonishingly comfortable. It felt as though he were consuming spirit pills and spirit medicines. He sensed fine streams of energy entering through his pores, flowing into muscles, blood vessels, meridians, 5 viscera, and 6 bowels, nourishing flesh, hair, and skin alike. That energy even permeated his soul, strengthening it. Startled, Chinmu began circulating the Overlord Body 3 elixir technique, instantly sensing an even greater surge of power pouring from the egg white, fortifying his primordial spirit. This egg white surpasses any spirit pill or miraculous medicine. If I could remain within to cult it for an extended time, my primordial spirit would surely become abnormally powerful. He glanced toward the remaining eggs and saw that most stood empty. The other Bora turtles had likely matured and broken free. Only 2 or 3 eggs remained unhatched. Excellent treasures. When we arrive, I shall take these eggs with me. Just as this thought crossed his mind, the massive Bora turtle awoke. It shook its head before plunging once more into the lake. This lake fed into a tributary of greater rivers. As the Bora turtle dove, it entered the main current and allowed the river's flow to carry it toward the convergence of 2 waterways. The river's waters were exceedingly strange. Countless life forms of Yudu dwelled within. There was a long insect whose entire body was covered in eyes, a gigantic fish with bulging muscles and no scales, grotesque insects bristling with tentacles tipped by hook-mouthed maws, and shadowy forms drifting like wandering souls. Chinmu also observed lotuses floating upon the river's surface. Some had withered and borne seed heads. From those seed heads emerged plump white infants. Bare-bottomed, they danced and giggled with innocent delight. Suddenly, one infant's mouth opened wide, and a tongue 20 yards long lashed out. Wrapping around a bizarre fish in the water, the tongue snapped back skyward, and in an instant the child devoured the fish whole, leaving only bones to sink to the riverbed. Once satiated, the infant resumed dancing and laughter. Yet not long after, a massive bird swooped down, seized the infant, and tilted its head back to swallow him whole. "What horrors of Yudu are these?" Chin-Mu shuddered inwardly. At last, the Bora turtle brought them to the deep pit the white bats had mentioned. Yet calling it a pit was an understatement. It was more akin to a bottomless abyss. The two rivers converged there, their waters cascading downward in an unceasing roar. Just as they were about to plunge into the abyss, the Bora turtle suddenly leapt from the water into mid-air. With a sweeping motion, it spread two rigid wings, beneath which lay a second pair of soft wings. The soft wings were razor-sharp, trembling with a humming vibration as the turtle descended, flying straight into the abyss. Chin-Mu and the others were hurled against the interiors of the eggs, which clung to the rigid wings. As the Bora turtle flew, the hard wings remained unmoving, while only the soft wings beat ceaselessly. Peering from within the egg, Chin-Mu saw colossal mushrooms clinging to the abyss walls, releasing luminous spores. They glowed and drifted through the air like floating dandelions. Occasionally huge fish would leap from the roaring waterfall to swallow the glowing spores. The moment they did, their bodies would swell mid-air and explode. From their remains sprouted enormous mushrooms. These mushrooms were peculiar indeed. They only destroyed the lower half of the fish or insect, leaving the upper body intact. Thus, the creatures remained alive, though grotesquely transformed, their lower halves replaced by fungal growth. Long roots extended from the mushrooms, writhing in the air. Some latched onto cliff faces and immediately took root. The fish and insects fused to the mushrooms, aided in hunting, forming a bizarre symbiotic existence. Guided by the glow of these strange fungi, the sole light within the abyss, the Bora turtle continued its descent. After descending countless miles, they finally reached the abyss's floor. The air was heavy with moisture. Towering crystal pillars surrounded them, translucent and shimmering with enchanting radiance that illuminated the subterranean world. The Bora turtle had built its nest upon a fragment of a colossal crystal pillar and landed there. No sooner had it done so than Fuyuchi's sound waves struck again, stunning the creature once more. Having absorbed all the energy within his egg, Chin-Mu sprang forth, refreshed and invigorated. Without hesitation, he plucked the remaining 3 unhatched eggs and stowed them within his Taoti sack.
"Cult Master, I cannot come out!"
The dragon Qilin wailed pitifully. Chin-Mu stepped forward, seized the dragon's ears, and with all his strength hauled him free. He scolded, "If you grow any fatter, I shall feed you nothing but dirt." "I am merely sturdy, not fat," the dragon Qilin muttered softly. The 2 white bats rose silently into the air. The ship fell from outer space, creating this abyss. After reaching underground, it slid further, cracking the barrier sealing Yudu. That vessel lies just ahead, not far from here, yet most of Yudu's life forms dwell nearby. By following the underground current, we can reach it. Chin-Mu followed the 2 white bats. Before long, corpses washed ashore came into view. They belonged to formidable practitioners of Roland's Golden Palace, and judging by their decay, they had perished not long ago. With the bats guiding him, Chin-Mu had encountered no peril. Yet had he attempted to traverse Ghost Valley alone to reach this place, the dangers would have been immeasurable. Those who reached here were all experts, at minimum in Seven Stars' realm, yet sadly none had lived to behold the ship. Soon after, Chin-Mu noticed skeletons strewn about. From their belongings, he recognized them as disciples of Heavenly Devil cult. He sighed and stooped to gather stones to bury them, when suddenly the stones scurried away, splashing into the river with a plop. They pressed onward until a resonant Buddha voice echoed through the underground cavern. Following the sound, they arrived before 2 aged monks clad in yellow robes, seated cross-legged atop stone pillars. 2 shrines had been carved into those pillars, and the monks sat within them, their long eyebrows extending beyond the shrine thresholds. A Buddha voice emanated unceasingly from their bodies, and Buddha rays flared bright and dim in alternation, resisting the surging devil chi. "Monks of Great Thunderclap Monastery!" Chin-Mu exclaimed in shock. "They are already dead?" The 2 white bat brothers were equally astonished. Fuyuchi said, "These 2 bold donkeys came here with astonishing power. They claimed to act under Rulai's command, to aid us in suppressing the disturbances from Yudu and prevent its creatures from escaping to harm living beings. We were displeased, yet unable to defeat them, so we allowed them to remain. For over 10 years they sat here, aiding us greatly. On several occasions the seal nearly broke, and they helped reinforce it. Never did I expect them to perish from exhaustion. Fuyuchen sighed. We once thought them delicious, but now I have no desire to eat them at all. The ship that fell from outer space lies just ahead. Chinmu lifted his head and looked forward. His body trembled faintly.